Welcome to the BTM Club in conversation with music legends, well, with legends in general, people who are doing great things in our community. He's pretending to be modest. Good enough,
Oh,
then.
it's not me. It's not me.
We,
I was just lucky in the 80s. I was just, one of the in the right place at the right time.
as you can see, we've already started. You see who we've got. The Scarlet Pimpernel himself, Mr. Carl McIntosh. It is a
Oh,
delight to have you.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's
It's a
been a
delight
while.
to be here.
It's taken me a while to get this, to nail this guy down. I've had to send out secret agents, private investigators.
No way.
Finally. So we're finally here, and we are overjoyed to have you on the show because
Oh,
even though you are modest, but we know you are a music legend, right?
oh, come on. I wish
Loose,
I was a legend. I mean,
loose ends music legends globally,
oh,
not just of the UK. So it's great to have you with us. And as you
thank you
say,
very
it's
much.
great that you're keeping the legacy alive.
Oh, God. I wish I had Jane and Steve with me. I mean, that would be brilliant.
Of
But
course. But
we
it's like everything, what was then, and you have to do what you're doing now. And just embrace what's happening now. And I'll be honest with you, I saw you at a show a few years ago when the place is actually shut down now, called the Hideaway.
okay.
Um, and I think it was your first show in a while,
Yeah.
a few years back. And the arrangements
Hmm.
of all your regular tunes had changed.
Oh wow.
I don't know. Oh, wow. Like he doesn't know. He changed the arrangements. He changed
Yeah.
the arrangements, making me look like a
Okay.
lunatic on screen.
No, what happened was I think you're talking about the it was a different type of show. I think it was like an acoustic, semi-acoustic show.
Oh, but all I'm saying is, I was listening to these tracks and thinking, I know this, but there's a different energy with it, a new energy, a, a deeper quality, even.
Mm.
When you hear music and you get goosebumps, if you're not feeling goosebumps, you're just hearing it, you're not feeling it. But I was like, is this really the same tunes? But this
Okay.
man is
That's
really a music.
wonderful.
Yeah, this man is really a musical genius. You changed the arrangements completely. So it was nice to see you come back out. And even though it was what some may refer to as old material,
Right,
you
right.
had freshened it up and made it new.
Yeah, I have fun. I have fun doing stuff like that. And I think
Exactly.
even a couple of years ago, I released a new version of Gonna Make You Mine. It's a
Okay.
similar thing. It was from that session. It was, the arrangement was taken from that session. And we,
Right.
I think it was Conrad from Grown Folks Radio. We were doing him and his Missus a Flavor. And, it was different for us to do something like that. So I love stuff like that,
But
acoustically.
that's the creativity in you. It's boundless, isn't it? It doesn't end. It's
Oh, you make me feel great today, man.
Well, that's the idea. We are here to celebrate Carl McIntosh and the works
Oh,
of
thank you
Loose
so much,
Ends.
Reed. I
That's
mean,
the
it's just I was lucky. I was in a group that we had some flavor, and the flavor seemed to not go down well here as much as America. But the local people, the people who kind of from our community, they kind of got it, but it just didn't translate into number one records for England.
yeah.
And it's a shame really because the radio was going through a little bit of a time as well because we had the revolution, didn't we, of pirates and yeah,
Exactly.
it was crazy. It was a great time.
And I mean, the thing is, that's why history is important. I think history is very important because you have to look and say, well, you were always creatives, and more often than not, that's how it happens. You have to break America to come back to England to be recognized. And it's
Right.
like, well, they were here all the time. Why didn't you recognize them?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I think that there is a certain degree of suppression going on in the industry. I think when it comes to black music, soul music, and it's easy to do. Excuse me, it's easy to do because all you have to do is just not play it. And I think we got caught up in that. And there was only really Top of the Pops and radio Really, that was it.
Listen,
Radio One.
radio and anyone, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth because ultimately we can all pretend we don't know Tony Blackburn and David Hamilton and Steve Wright, but at one stage, that's all we had.
That's
Or
all we
it
had.
was Radio Luxembourg or Radio Caroline that might play something a bit edgy.
Right.
And then, we had the influx of what they call pirate radios, Jazz FM, Invicta in the 80s, when you had to be holding a hanger and hanging out the bedroom window, get good reception, and those were the only places that were playing our music.
That's right.
And then you look at now and you're going, there's My Soul, there's this, there's that, the other. We can get our music 24/7.
Right. That's a great thing, isn't it? It's a great thing. I mean, I just wish that we had come out now.
Yeah, but you're still here. You're still here.
Yeah, I get it, but
and I mean, let's face it, you all did make it pretty big. Loose Ends did make it pretty big.
No, I'm not so sure. I think there was more work to be done. I think we kind of fell short of our second big contract because we were signed to Virgin for 5 albums.
Right.
We kind of broke up on our 4th. Okay. I completed the 5th album on my own.
Right.
Which was a little bit lonely, but I had new people around me. But then I had to market the new faces. So I kind of had to start again. And it was really hard. I really miss them. I miss Jane and Steve. I'm not sure why things went the way it did. But if we had continued into that second contract, I think we would have been like minted.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing is, minted is one thing, but as a creative and as an artist, what you're really talking about is, had we done that 5th album or whatever, or fulfilled the second contract, we would have fulfilled our potential.
Definitely. This is what I mean. I mean, it takes a long time to build groups, especially soul groups, soul R&B groups, because really and truly, the big record labels, they're not really adept at new marketing ways. They have their radio guy, they've got their magazine guy, their TV person, and they use those resources really well.
Right.
But they don't really do much different. It's always going to be the same type of people they use. And we got kind of caught up in that. I had the feeling that our A&R man, his name was Mick Clark, he was good. But the rest of the people, I felt like he had to convince them at every juncture what to do with Loose Ends. Because
even though you were signed to them, he was still having to work doubly, do his job as well as theirs for you.
Yeah, because they didn't understand. We were making songs that stop and start again, and there would be question marks. They'd be like, oh, we don't understand what's going on here. The song actually stops and it starts again.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, I guess as creatives, I keep using that word. Creatives, artists, whatever you care to use. You've all got your individuality.
Right.
And that was a trademark of Loose Ends. The stop and start. Now, Nile Rodgers, in conversation with him, says, well, when I was writing for Chic, I always thought, why do we have to wait for the chorus to get the main line? And then you realize, actually, every one of his tracks starts with the title. Good Times, Love Free.
Yeah.
All of them. I Want Your Love, Everybody Dance. It starts with the title.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And that was his trademark. But,
the chorus comes in straight away.
Straight away. Really? Yeah. So it catches you immediately. But, the stop and start was a trademark of Loose Ends.
Yeah, exactly. And I think funk music, whenever I'm listening to true, authentic funk music, I can tell who's playing it just by, sometimes when I hear it and it don't sound right, it's too consistent. Like the guitar player's going, jung, 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 jung. Like to me, that's not how real funk music should be. He can go, jang, 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 but he's got to stop.
Yeah,
and then
and
start
start
again.
again. Yeah, but that's the feeling. And as you say, you listen to Parliament, you
Right.
listen to Funkadelic. Well, George Clinton is a god, of
Yes.
course.
Yes, he is.
And you listen to tracks like Atomic Dog, say, and the major thing that's driving, at one point, it comes to a stop and it goes to something else. And then that comes back.
Right.
That's
Right.
almost the hook.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
of James Brown,
Musical.
things like Watergate,
Right.
and there's that whole drop, stop, and then a different drop, and then it starts again. So you're
We
absolutely,
love that. We
yeah,
love that.
because that stop and start again is what's giving you the opportunity to get down. Right? Because you can't keep going up, up, up. I have to have the opportunity to get down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very
You
good.
know?
Yeah. So I seen some pictures of you when you were younger. You was a model, right?
Right. This interview is about you, not me.
I was like, wow, one man was serious.
Yeah. I had my
Ah,
stints.
still
I had
up.
I had my stints, yes. But
Yeah.
believe it or not, looking at me.
You look good. Now, come on now. I always wondered, where does this guy come from? I know him, but it's like, and then I realized, oh, that's that model. That's
Yeah, the one that had
model.
that thing on his head that was like this, the quiff. That's him. Yeah, that's right. That was me.
That was brilliant. Yeah, I didn't put the two together. It's only when I look back, I thought, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
It was some good days, though.
We had the best times, man. We had the best times. And
Yeah.
as I said, I can remember partying with you guys, as I said, with that thing on my head, the quiff, and
Yeah.
and then
I remember.
and then times all changed and we all went our separate ways. You guys broke up. Jane stayed in America. And then it was just like tumbleweed. Never saw you guys again.
Yeah. Yeah. The industry is like that, though. It's always turning out new talent. And I think as soon as we broke up, Soul to Soul came out. And then Soul to Soul did, I think, the end of what I would call decent soul music out of the UK. I think that was the end of it after Soul to Soul. Not many groups came up after that. Now there's younger groups coming up. They're doing their rap singing thing, but for our generation, well, but for our generation, kind of they round it off. And then it was something else. It was gangster music. It wasn't the same. I mean, that whole thing. We sang love songs,
We say this all the time, Carl. I say this all the time. I'm like, why are you guys so angry? You haven't even got it as hard now as we had it then. Because on our shoulders, you guys are standing. So where is all this anger coming from? All we used to sing about was the disco, the club, love, the disco, the club, love, the disco. That was it.
Absolutely.
And out of those three topics, look at the tapestry of music that's been written from Earth, Wind and Fire to Stevie Wonder to, some of them were political, like Marvin Gaye, but even he was singing about love,
Marvin was very good at throwing in some really explicit undercover phrases in the music that you would never think that he was singing about something so explicit. I mean, there's a song where he's actually talking about sex and there's a certain type of sex, but he does it so well that you're dancing like my mum. I'm looking at my mum when I worked it out. I think I was about 17. I looked at my mum one day and she was, this is my tune. And I was like, Mum, and tapping her on the shoulder, she dancing. Okay, never mind.
Exactly. You did the right thing. Just leave that there. Leave that right there, because
I just left it.
Being 17 is one thing, but now you're a mature man. You actually realize, well, I was doing it before the 17-year-old. So they ain't telling me anything that I don't know. They think I don't know.
Exactly. And my mum will drop it like that as well and embarrass you in front of all your friends.
Yeah.
Like,
You think you're telling me something I don't know? How you think you got here? Okay. You know what I mean?
She used to say stuff like that, and it used to be so embarrassing. But because you don't want to think of your mum in that
Exactly.
way.
You don't want to think about that. No. We don't need to think about that.
Yeah.
So tell
But
me
yeah.
more about the loose ends journey,
Well,
because
what
you
happened
were
was,
flying at one
yeah,
stage.
what happened? I mean, for my journey started way before loose ends. I mean, my parents were romantics, and
Right.
so they would have a party almost every weekend. They were really popular in their circle, so everyone would come to our house.
Were you always a South boy or you
Oh, East.
East? Okay.
I'm from North London. I'm from Tottenham. And
Right.
then my parents slowly moved up out of Tottenham to Clapton and then eventually in Hackney. But what
Right.
happened was my dad's a bit of a undercover show off. You know, he used to dress slick kind of. And I think he was a bit of a, because he had a hi-fi. And he was one of those hi-fi guys that had, you know, the velvet thing. And, you know, every record had to go through the motion
Yeah,
of
you had to wipe off the
yeah,
with brush.
yeah. He'd pick up the record and look at, see if there's my fingerprints on it anywhere, because that's a beating. Yeah, right.
Because
So
they took their music seriously. Let me
yeah,
tell you now, where do you think we get it from?
he
Where
had
do you
a
think we get it from?
he had a Rotel amp, Pioneer turntable, IMF speakers, and Sony tuner, and he cleaned it every day. But the man had some beautiful records, and he doesn't talk, my dad, but he loved my mum, and she used to, when they used to have their little parties, after she's had a few drinks, she started dancing with someone a bit too wrong, right? And
Did
my
you hit
dad,
that, guys? Too wrong. I love it.
and my dad it always ended badly. My dad would slap someone, or my mum would slap him, or someone would get, you know, something would happen. And then the next day, my dad would start this journey. It starts with Isaac Hayes, I Stand Accused, and then it's a little bit of Solomon Burke, Al Green, and then you go into Donald Byrd, just a couple of instrumentals, and then eventually you start coming around to Marvin Gaye. Now, the creme de la creme is Let's Get It On, right? But all while he's doing that, she's upset with him, and then after about 20 minutes,
She's
I can
mellowing.
smell seasoning. I can smell cooking.
Yes.
And then by the time the Marvin Gaye comes on, the food is almost cooked. And after we've had our dinner, them two are locked up in their bedroom. They got one of those windows above their bedroom that you can see when the light's on, right? So when my mum and dad's door is closed and that light is on, we just know that's off limits now. You can't go near that room. All right? So, but in that whole process, I got to learn some great music by accident.
Absolutely. But it's not by accident, because I think you learn things not necessarily by somebody saying, sit down, listen to this, sit down. You know, you learn it just by being in the environment. Being in the environment. I mean, we had music in my house from the Ink Spots to, you know, as far back as that, and everything in. We had Blue Beat, we had Alton Ellis, we had Sparrow with Calypso, we had everything. So when you come out, you now know all of that, you know?
Yeah.
And even like cooking, you learn how to cook just being in the kitchen, and because nothing is ever measured, you just pick up your hand, throw that in and taste. you know, but you learn just from being in the environment. But that was giving you the foundation and bringing you to where you are.
So when I was about 16, my parents started to break up, and it was getting serious. My dad...
The records weren't working anymore.
No, the records weren't working. And my dad, I think he had a little thing on the side. And my mum was getting angry and angrier and angrier, and their relationship started to sour. And it was a bit like he was now looking for me. He was picking on, me now. Because if my parents were having an argument and I had done something, I could be the thing that glues them back together. So if I had busted my tires on my bike, my dad would say, Gloria, look on Carl's bike. And then she'd be like, what? Then the two of them start talking. They're friends again.
Yeah, to take it out on you. To take it out on you.
The gun is on me.
Exactly.
So, anyway, so the thing what would happen with my parents is, once my dad kind of started to get a little angrier and angrier, once that started happening, it was as if my dad had to go. Because once he kept on picking on me to save his own butt. So after a while,
I love this. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So after a while, he did leave, and when he left, before he left, I was practicing bass. I couldn't bring an amp into the house because he'd throw it out the window. He'd occasionally throw my instruments out the window because he'd come home from work and I'd be practicing, and he'd come in the room, open up the window, just pick my guitar up, just dash it out the window.
I mean, that's a comedy sketch. You have got so much material to write more than just music. You've got a play there. You've got a play.
He's not fun. He's not joking. He does joke around sometimes. Like if I was doing a show, and if he was in a good mood, he would say, "So, Carl, what are you playing today for the deaf people?"
So, but yes, your father used to throw your stuff out the windows.
Yeah, because I had a little group that we used to. Around about 16, I just got into music. I went to America with my mum, and while I was over there, I'd never heard black music, jazz music, R&B music on the radio before. So that was the first. It was like I was like 74. It was in 1974. And I think I was about 14 or 15. But anyway, I was just taken away by hearing music, black music coming out of even shops. One shop it was in Queens, and
I was going to say that whole New York scene. It's either going to be Queens or Brooklyn, Flatbush,
Yeah, absolutely. I was in Queens, and there was this shop, and I heard Boogie Nights, and this jazz, and it was all like harps and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And my mum walked off, and I listened to the whole intro until it went Boogie Nights. At that point, I was like, hold on, where's my mum? I lost stuff. So anyway, and then there was this radio station, and they used to play jazz, and they were like, hi, welcome to the station.
It's the voices on the radio over there were different. They were like, so we're going to play now and then. You're going, oh my God, Johnny Blackwood doesn't sound like that.
No, he doesn't. It was very laid back and dinner jazz. And there was this song called San Lorenzo by Pat Metheny.
Okay.
It used to come on every day. And I used to listen to the show just for that song. It took me on a journey, and it just opened me up musically. So when I got back to England, I was like, right, music is going to be music. My dad wasn't into that. That's why he used to come in when I was practicing, right, and throw my things out the windows. So it was like the ongoing story.
So he didn't want you to be into music. He didn't want you to be into
absolutely not. My dad, my whole family, everyone in my family, they're all mechanics. They're all, they got trade. They're tradesmen.
Yeah, and as well, I think there was a certain mentality behind that. There was a certain mentality. People do what they know, because it's not even as if they were saying, well, I don't want you to do that. At least get your academics and gives you options. They're not even saying that. They're just saying they want you to be a mechanic. They want you to have a trade. Well, I don't want to be a mechanic.
Yeah, well, it was just as you said. It was like that's what they knew. And my dad was more than a mechanic; he was a pilot. And he
Oh,
was a little bit embittered because his pilot license meant nothing when he came here, right? So, and he had to go and learn the whole, do the whole thing again. So he was like, these English people. So, he was bitter.
I like
In
the
the end,
what we call bitter and twisted.
yeah,
So, but yes, your father used to throw your stuff out the windows.
yeah, because I had a little group that we used to. Around about 16, I just got into music. I went to America with my mum, and
Okay.
while I was over there, I'd never heard black music, jazz music, R&B music on the radio before. So that was
Yeah.
the first. It was like I was like 74. It was in 1974, and I think I was about 14 or 15. But anyway, I was just taken away by hearing music, black
Yeah.
music coming out of even shops. One shop it was in Queens, and
I was going to say that whole New York scene, it's either going to be Queens or Brooklyn, Flatbush.
yeah, absolutely. I was in Queens, and there was this shop, and I heard Boogie Nights, oh, and this jazz, and it was all like harps and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And my mum walked off, and I listened to the whole intro until it went Boogie Nights. At that point, I was like, hold on, where's my mum? I'd lost stuff. So anyway, and then there was this radio station, and they used to play jazz, and they were like, hi, welcome to the station.
Yeah, it's the voices on the radio over there were different. They were like, yeah, so we're going to play now and then. You're going, oh my God, Johnny Black doesn't sound like that.
No, he doesn't. It was very laid back and dinner jazz, and there was this song called San Lorenzo by Pat Metheny.
Okay.
It used to come on every day, and I used to listen to the show just for that song. It took me on a journey, and it just opened me up musically. So when I got back to England, I was like, right, music is going to be music. My dad wasn't into that. That's why he used to come in when I was practicing,
right,
and throw my things out the windows. So it was like the ongoing story.
So he didn't want you to be into music. He didn't want you to be
No, absolutely not. My dad, my whole family, everyone in my family, they're all mechanics. They're all they got trades. They're tradesmen.
Yeah, and as well, I think there was a certain mentality behind that. There was a certain mentality. People do what they know, because it's not even as if they were saying, well, I don't want you to do that. At least get your academics and gives you options. They're not even saying that. They're just saying they want you to be a mechanic. They want you to have a trade. Well, I don't want to be a mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was just as you said. It was like that's what they knew. And my dad was more than a mechanic, he was a pilot, and he was a little bit embittered because his pilot license meant nothing when he came here, right? So, and he had to go and learn the whole, do the whole thing again. So he was like, these English people. So he was bitter.
I like what we call bitter and twisted.
Yeah. In the end, in anything that British people did, like playing soul music, he would say, English people can't play soul music. They can't do that, like the Americans. And he was well into that. So
yeah,
when it came to the music now, me trying to do music, he was, if he come in from work and he's tired, he can hear me practicing, he would just come in the room. My mum bought me a mic, and that
which made things worse.
Anyway, right, after a while, he left, and after he left, I started to get serious practice time in, and I just became really, really focused on Stanley Clarke, Jaco Pastorius, Alphonse Johnson.
I mean, when you're talking Jaco Pastorius, I mean, you're talking gods. Gods.
Yeah. Who's the other guy? Abraham Laboriel. I mean, I really got to, and I met this guy called Paul Tubbs. Williams, who played in Like the World, and his attitude
Oh
towards,
yeah, Tubbs.
Tubbs, his attitude towards music that I held at high esteem. He had no respect for it. He was like, learn that. Like Bob James, he'd be like, have you learned it yet? Learned it? I only bought the record on Friday. He said, yeah, you got to learn it. He had no respect for how good it was. It was, I can do that and you can do it too. And that really helped me, because he would literally be playing it when I went round his house, or we'd go down the West End to try new guitars.
And you know, that explains why Light of the World had the sound they had. Because you know that, okay, you had lots of English soul bands, but in honesty, we can talk.
Yeah.
They didn't have that sound.
You're right. Yeah.
They didn't have that sound. And you know,
right.
It's not that you weren't supporting, but you're going, well, I've got a Dexter Wansel album to buy, or which one am I? Well, I'm going to go with Dexter. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? But Light of the World, they had that sound. Actually, this sounds different. Even High Tension, to be honest.
High Tension as well. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there was some guys in the game that, I mean, I think we're all Africans. You know, we've gone via our West Indian country and we've ended up in London. But I think to break it down, I think I come from a music family in the sense of they're all punters. And so they gave respect to music. Whereas I was now mixing with people who came from music families in a different sense, actual musicians, you know?
Yeah, right.
And they don't give it no respect.
Not people who, and I don't say just, but not people who only appreciated music, bought music, but actually were playing it.
Yeah, they'd actually play it. And they were brought up on the level because of that, because they're listening to Maurice White and they're listening to, you know, proper musicians and breaking it down.
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot. And I was playing in a lot of little groups, and it brought me to a point where I guess I begun to develop a reputation for myself as a musician. And people would say, Carl, if you're not doing nothing, come down and play some percussion, or come down and sing some vocals, or come down and play some bass, you know, or some guitar. So in the end, I ended up playing in a rock band called Ray Shell and the Street Angels. And it's an actor called Ray Shell.
As in the Ray Shell?
The Ray Shell,
Starlight Express Ray Shell.
Yes, Starlight Express.
Okay.
I was his bass player.
Right.
So, yeah, he took me to another level again, because I'd never played rock before. And Sly Stone, I thought Sly Stone was a funk group. I didn't realize they were rock as well. So you know, he educated me on that. And we wrote a song called Tell Me What You Want for that group. And we went on a TV show, and we performed that song. And then that was over, because I had already met Jane and Steve. Now, let me tell you, me and the guy that does 19, 19, Paul Hardcastle.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Hardcastle's a friend of mine. You could even say that I taught him how to play bass, right? Because the guy's remarkable. He was living in Hackney at the time, and he had a camera and a bass. And I said, oh, that looks nice. He had loads of equipment, because he used to work in the hi-fi shop in Edgware Road. And I picked up the bass and started playing it, and everything I played was being recorded. The next time I saw him, literally everything that I could play, he was practicing. So he actually, his mind is brilliant, how he can just do that, you know, just learn something there and then. So he was doing some great things as well. He was doing multi-track recording with 2 different tape recorders. So, I mean, I learned so much in that little time there. And we were both rehearsing in this place in the Oval. He had a group called First Light. I think he was in a group called First Light, and I was in a group. My group was called Mint Condition. And one day I got this phone call, not the Mint Condition, the London version.
Yeah, but yours is the original. Original Mint Condition. Never mind anything that came after.
So I got this phone call one day. And I remember I didn't have no inhaler that day either because I used to have bad asthma. And we used to practice in the basement, so it was quite damp. And I was having a little bit of an asthma situation going on. But I got this phone call and it was like, well, do you want to go and get your asthma pump or do you want to go check out this group? So we went and checked out the group.
Yeah, you went to check out the group going, yeah, they're great.
Actually, my asthma is kind of anxiety related. If I'm in the right situation, I can forget about it. So I got there and, it was this house in Brixton and it was someone's flat. It was turned into a rehearsal studio. Steve was by the piano. Jane was singing something like in his ear kind of thing. And there was like two singers over there, beautiful people. Everyone was, of your caliber, I should say. All models. Debbie, Cheryl, Marianne. I don't know all their last names.
Oh my God, Debbie, of course, Debbie Williams, Cheryl Huggins.
Cheryl Huggins, yeah. I don't remember Marianne's last name. I know she's Mauritian or something, but
Marianne Goldspink. She now lives in South Africa.
No way.
Yeah. Marianne Goldspink.
Yeah, I did know that because Glenn, yes.
Yeah, Goldspink, yeah.
Goldspink. Oh wow. Anyway, they were all in there looking beautiful. And I thought, you know what, they got something here. They look good. And the music was, I could see the brother that was playing the piano, Steve. He was jazzy. He was like Joe Sample. He reminded me of Joe Sample.
Yeah.
I was like, Then the girl, she had this wicked voice, but it was a bit like Gina DiBambo, her voice.
Right.
But she is beautiful. I mean, she was dark like Gina as well. She was tall and she had these curls coming down the front. And I was like, whoa, them two are wicked. They look like stars. But these guys look like stars as well. It took me a minute to figure out what was going on. But the music was a little bit messy because it looked like they were still trying to find their way.
They were.
Yeah, they were. And the drummer, he was a little bit all over the place as well. Kind of like his roles would be in a different time to the beat.
And you're going, calm down, listen to the others, because you're kind of be behind them, not leading them, just calm down.
Yeah, he was a little excitable. So anyway, after I had to go because I was in this atmosphere where it was like a make-do studio with carpet on the walls and getting really hot.
God, yeah.
So before I left, I saw a guitar. And I picked up the guitar and I started playing some chords. And I think I could match Steve with my chords on the guitar. And I think he picked up on that, like, oh, okay, this ain't just a bass player.
Yeah, this is the real deal.
I can actually sing and, do some bits and pieces myself. So I didn't sing for them. I just played some guitar chords. And straight away I could see Steve was like, oh, okay. So the next time he said, come down next week. So when we got together for the next week now, I got there was no one else there. It was just me, him, and Jane. So I said, oh, where's everyone
Serendipity else? Working right there. Serendipity working right there.
He was clever, he kind of thought, well, I don't know what his reasons were. He didn't ever tell me, but, he just said, I think we can do it here. So I'm like, okay, so how are we gonna do for drums? He said, well, maybe drum machine. I don't know. Have you ever worked with a drum machine? I don't think I had at the time, but I thought, well, I know friends that have. Yeah. So, just for demos, maybe bringing the drummer later. It was that time when drum machines were
just
coming in.
Yeah.
And drummers were, feeling that because, drummers
were being replaced by a machine.
Yeah. It's like the AI thing right now that's happening in the world. Absolutely. It's starting out there. I mean, that's the first time I've seen a human actually get replaced, and he can't say nothing. He can't, because the drum machine will be ready to play in about 20 minutes with no complaints, and he will just
no drama, no warm up.
No warm up.
Creative.
Yeah,
drama. I'm an artist.
It take a long time as well. There has to be doom, 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 doom. God, 4 hours you could go doing that. The drummers would start from about 10 a.m. and you wouldn't have the proper sound until about maybe 45 minutes, take a whole hour, maybe 2 hours sometimes. Some engineers take all day. Anyway, so no drummer, it's me, Jay, and Steve. And then we did the demo. We started doing demos. And we did first demo, I think it was called Sunday Love. Vivian McComb was also in the room. And she was another actress model at the time that had, what was the thing that she was in? The Boy Who Won the Pools, was it? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So
the whole era of creativity. I mean, creativity is all the time. It never stops.
Yeah.
But it's just that we were a part of that era. But you know, the whole thing about this show is, I think it's wonderful to hear these stories because, you know, people see the finished product and they think you woke up and decided we want to be a band and we want to be stars, got a stylist, got a record label, and it all just happened. And, you know, you're going, well, there was a whole load of toil and effort that went before that, that you guys need to know about and you need to know and respect. But it's also inspiration for people to realize what anyone can do it if you're committed, determined, and you keep going. You're not going to be thrown off track. Because, you know, I'm sure you, in the journey, you had a lot of people that, as you say, weren't understanding you, weren't going, well, yeah, keep going. You know, they'd be going, yeah, I don't really think that's good, you know, and I don't really think we can sell it, you know. You know?
There was a lot of that.
And your tenacity has to keep you going.
Yeah. Jane was a bit of a lucky charm because when we did our demos, you know, Steve, luckily, he wasn't actually utilizing Jane's voice. He had a lot of talent himself. So he could play a whole instrumental. And back then, they used to have that little thing where the singing comes in at the end, like pass the peas or pick up the pieces, you know? So there's a couple of songs. We did an OD to Steve, actually, with this song called Little Spice, where Jane comes in at the end. Nearly all these songs were like that when I first met.
Instrumental to the beginning.
Instrumental,
There's a little few lines at the end. Yeah.
So as we started working together, my songs were a little bit different because I would have intro, verse, chorus, intro, verse, chorus. His one would be all instrumental, and then, you know. So it was good for Jane, the way I wrote, because what had happened with me was I was a songwriter, but how my songwriting started was interesting, actually, because there was this girl in my class called Jane Eugene, and she sang this song called Where Is Love for the school. Now, Oliver Twist, Where Is Love for, you know, in Oliver.
Yeah.
And she made everyone cry. I mean, literally, she had people in tears. The teachers, they were all crying. And we was like, oh, we made her sing it again. And she sung so calmly, her tone, her breathing for such a young kid. It was unbelievable.
So what age are you talking about here?
Well, 15, 16, 17, probably 15 is when it started. I'd say between 15 and 16 because I was heavily...
And already at that young age, she didn't, I imagine, have much vocal training, but she had that vocal ability and control.
Sorry, call you back. Yes.
See, the man's in demand. You put that on silent. Now you understand why he has to be the Scarlet Pimpernel. Even in an interview, people want Carl McIntosh.
No way.
He's mine for half an hour, okay? So just, okay.
Yes. So what was we saying?
Yeah, for her to have that control and at 15 without formal training as such.
No, she was accomplished. Anything that she put her mind to sing, like you might give her a melody and she'll go, oh, you mean like this? And when she sang it, it was ironed out as if it had gone through some sort of processing. Yeah, that's it. That's what But when
you couldn't even explain to her how you wanted it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she
would process it, and you know, she was brilliant. And you know, so I got involved with trying to please this girl and fell in love with her. And so I used to go to her mum's. I used to help her mum with the shopping. I was hanging around, then once after school, I'd be like, my mum, where's Carl? I'd be like, I think he's down Well Street, because that's where she lived. And I'd be hanging out there. She got a piano as well, so I'd fool around on the piano, and I think nearly every day. And then eventually, I put the question, I was like, so what do you think about me and you, And she was like, oh, Cole, you're too short. I mean, we're the same height, but if I put my heels on, I'm going to be above you. So that's probably not going to work. So I was like, ah! I ran home. Ah! That run. And then when I got in, I picked up my guitar and
had to play a broken heart love song.
Yeah. So I wrote 3 songs. I wrote Choose Me. I wrote Dial 999, This Is an Emergency. This is what those songs are about. And the other one was really dark. It's like No Stranger to Darkness. So those 3 songs got written that weekend.
Not dramatic or anything, you know what I mean? Not dramatic in the slightest way. 999 emergency, no stranger to darkness. What's going on?
Choose me, don't lose me.
But you wrote those songs when you were 15, 16.
Not even, I didn't record them. I just used to play them on the guitar, and I don't think I even had the second verse. I just had the first verse, the chorus, and the music. And then eventually, what happened was, I'm jumping a little bit. I'm going to jump forward. So after I've met Jane and Steve, we do these demos. And one of the demos was called In the Sky. And what happened was, the In the Sky demo got signed but it was funny the way it happened, because a guy at City Sounds liked the song and said he was going to put out a white label of it.
Okay.
But we was like, okay, we'll take that. And then
especially at that time, you're just so anxious and desperate to
we
get stuff out there. We'll do whatever. We do it for free. I don't care.
Absolutely. So he's taken our tape, and over the Christmas period, so I've met Jane and Steve. The meeting with Jane and Steve in that little house in Brixton. It's actually, there is a skate park outside this block of flats. Okay. And it's right by the Academy in Brixton. So basically, from that meeting to from that meeting to December, me, Jane, and Steve, in that 3 months, it's amazing the amount of work that you can do when you're young. We must have done
and when you're enthusiastic, I always say, even as an adult, if you are really interested in something, that's half the work done.
Yeah. We could get together.
Because you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're not having to be prompted or pushed. It's like, I want to do this. I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do this.
Absolutely. We would finish songs together instantly, and we would record 3-4 songs in one session. So because we had the idea, and it was just a matter of, have we got time to put down another one? We would just be so fused up. So between October and December, we had done In the Sky. We've done about a whole handful of demos, and the In the Sky one, the guy said he wanted to put it out, but over the Christmas period, he got fired.
Okay, and
he emerged around mid-January as the head of 10 Records at Virgin. And when they gave him a job at Virgin, so they said to him, what ideas have you got? He said, look, I've got this tape. And he played them our tape. And they were like, ooh, that sounds nice. And then we got signed. So that didn't take long.
As you say, serendipity again. Again, it happened. Yeah. He got fired, then got the job. And
in the right place.
I truly believe things that happen are preordained. They're meant to.
Preordained. That is so true. So we've got this little thing now, and then we signed to Virgin. After we signed, they did this. They put out we recorded the song. The song In the Sky was produced by Chris and Eddie Amoo from The Real Thing. And so then now I've got to meet Nigel Martinez, who was one of my heroes, the drummer.
Yeah.
He played with Marvin Gaye, right? So, because Marvin did an album here in England. I think it's called In Our Lifetime.
Something every day. Yeah. That's the journey, man.
Yeah, and
I know the album well, but I didn't know it was recorded in the UK.
Yeah, that album was recorded here with Nigel Martinez and Vic Linton and all these great British musicians. And Dion Estes.
Well, that's the man, Dion Estes. Come on.
Dion. And I think there was a thing on Facebook where Dion is playing and Marvin's laying on his back.
Don't. Goose pimples, goosebumps, goose.
I was down here.
Listen, he is laying down.
Yeah.
Singing I Want You.
I know.
And Dion Estes is just there shaking the locks, licking the locks.
I know it.
And then it turns into Marvin at the piano revolving.
That's right, yeah.
On the God.
Yeah. If Marvin had stayed, I think he was in Finland or one of those places. If he had stayed in Europe, he would be alive today. He shouldn't have gone back home. That was,
as I said earlier, preordained.
Preordained.
What was meant to happen.